This could change everything for the New York Rangers, as the current dynamic of the team may allow them to trade for a superstar prospect, as multiple reports have come out stating that he is unhappy and wants to leave his current team. The name might surprise Rangers fans. We're going to break all of that down, but before we do, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 80% of you watching our videos are not actually subscribed, and we're now on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so thank you so much for that. It's been a fun journey here on the channel leading into the draft and free agency, but let's waste no more time. All right, this is a pretty exciting report and prospect if you are the New York Rangers, and it came out, started making headway yesterday, and that of course is Rutger McGroarty, who honestly might be the best name in all of hockey, but we'll get to his stats in a little bit. We'll talk about the initial report. So obviously this is from NHL Trade Alert, so take this with a grain of salt, but there were multiple reports from insiders yesterday stating that this is true, and the Jets may be looking to move on from this player. But anyway, from the Jeff Merrick Show, talking about Rutger McGroarty, Jeff says it looks like he will most likely be traded this week, maybe at the draft. And Elliot Friedman says he's had some people say be ready for it before the draft. So that could be, today, whenever you're watching this video. This could be tomorrow. This could be at the draft on Friday. Very, very interesting that this player wants to move on from the Jets. Seems like, they weren't in agreement in some things. He obviously was drafted just 2 years ago in the first round, 14th overall. So very, very interesting. And if you look at some teams who are involved and have interest in this player, McGroarty and Ehlers are also believed to be a package deal, and is believed that the deal will be made on the draft floor this coming Friday. And of course, the teams believed to be involved are the New York Islanders, which is very interesting, a rival here in New York, and the Chicago Blackhawks and the Predators. Now, I would believe that both of those players would probably want to go to contenders, which one of those teams is certainly not. You could argue almost all of them are not contenders, but some on their way up. But that's very interesting. The Rangers, of course, not included in this. So the trade aspect, and what I will bring up in this video, is speculation, and there are some rumors, but it's a fun little exercise because the Rangers do have some pieces they can move off of that could, lend to a McGroarty trade to the New York Rangers. Maybe not Ehlers as a package, and if you're a Rangers fan, Ehlers is a great player, but he is more of what the Rangers need less of, if that makes sense, heading into the playoffs. I feel like the Rangers have a lot of players who are kind of like Ehlers, and if you add another one of those, I'm not sure that's the route the Rangers want to go, and Chris Drury for that matter. But anyway, fun little exercise here from Phil. I know Brooks specifically mentioned moving up in the draft, but this scenario feels like it could apply to Rutger McGroarty, which was, Kaapo Kakko and the 30th overall pick for maybe another draft pick, and Rutger McGroarty. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, by the way. It's just such a unique name. I mean, one of the best names in hockey. Like, imagine that on the back of a Rangers jersey. That would be awesome. So, it does look like the, scenario that I mentioned in a video just a little while ago, that the Rangers would be looking to package Kaapo Kakko and the 30th overall pick together in order to move up in the draft. But maybe if it's not to move up in the draft, maybe it's to package it together at the draft, acquire a player like this, a younger version, not of Kaapo Kakko, but I mean, if you look at his stats, like, again, still very young, 20 years old, right? Hasn't played in the NHL yet. Does not want to stick around in Winnipeg. His stats speak for themselves in the Big Ten. I mean, it's difficult to score. Obviously, everyone's used to, NHL numbers. Big Ten and, the American program numbers are very, very different. So specifically last year at the University of Michigan, I mean, 52 points in 36 games. That's a very, very good season. So this would be a really good player to acquire if you're the Rangers, another very young piece that would just, slot in for Kaapo Kakko, let's say. So let me know what you think in the comments of a Kaapo Kakko for Rutger McGroarty trade. I mean, that is a very interesting prospect, right? This is a guy who, is looking to play in the NHL, I believe, next year, wants to make an impact. And, if you're if you're the Rangers, I should say, Kaapo Kakko might be on his way out anyway. The salary is going to work out fine because Kaapo Kakko only makes $2.4 million on this new contract extension he just signed. And of course, Rutger McGroarty would be on his entry-level deal. So this makes a lot of sense for the Rangers. You shed a lot of salary as well that you can use elsewhere to help the team, in different ways, maybe on defense, maybe adding some more depth forwards. And then you get a guy like this that can make a huge difference, right? This is a guy who can step into your lineup, bring some youth, bring some skill, right? The Rangers have a good mix of that, but this is another guy I think could make a difference because, again, it just kind of feels like Kaapo Kakko is just hanging around sometimes, right? I don't know if he's necessarily making a difference, and he was in and out of the lineup in the playoffs, so very interesting prospect here, and there's some fan reaction too. I would do it 100%. Falls right in line with the framework of the Gauthier for Drysdale deal. Obviously, we saw in Philadelphia, and then a lot of hypotheticals in here, but trading Lindgren and the second for to move up in the draft. But anyway, I think that the Rangers end up signing Lindgren. I think he's a pretty good piece. But again, if you can upgrade at that position, of course you do that, and you look at doing that at the draft this year. But anyway. This one suggests that he would go back to Michigan and then sign him the year after. I wonder if McGroarty is actually ready to make the NHL, right? Make that jump. I could be wrong, all right? I could be wrong in saying that, but I do you wonder if he is good enough to make that jump right away. And if, at this interesting exercise of, a Kaapo Kakko for McGroarty trade, let's just say, right? Let's take a look at the Kaapo Kakko side of things. 61 games played this year, 19 points, right? And of course, he's turning 24, so he's about only 4 years older than Rutger McGroarty. But this is a guy whose ice time is diminishing, right, with the Rangers. And there's been lots of talk that if they hang on to him, he needs a more significant role, but he hasn't really earned that. We've talked about this ad nauseum the last couple of weeks. It looks like they wanted to give him a shot, but at the same time, it falls on both parties' shoulders, the coaching staff, management, the player, right? It just seems like none of it is really working, and he's getting up there in age to the point, like, of course he's not old, but I'm saying he's getting up to the 24, 25-year-old window where you have to show your worth in the NHL, or the team kind of has to move off of him because you're in a cup window. You need all hands on deck, and he's not a guy who can play in every single situation either. Like, his ice time has been diminished to 10 to 15 minutes a night. So pretty interesting on the Kaapo Kakko side of things. I wonder if you take a look at packaging him and, your first round pick for a player like McGroarty, who could possibly come in a year or two's time and make a difference for you, right? And he's still a very, very young player, skilled player, right? So you're just kind of resetting the board with a move like this, right? I'm not comparing him to Kakko Kakko as if they're the same player, but you're resetting where you get some youth put back into the lineup, some skill, and see if you can develop him that way. And obviously I'm sure he would love to play in a big market like New York, so there's that. And obviously he's on the move. So I wonder if the Rangers have any interest in this. Of course, trade scenarios and all that, all speculation. But what is factual are the reports that had come out stating that he does want to move on from the Winnipeg Jets. So I wonder, if the Rangers take a look at this, if Chris Drury takes a look at it, and I think every GM, if a player like this becomes available, you should be looking at it anyway. That's just my feeling on it. You should at least, poke around, see what's up, because there could be a deal to be had. But let me know in the comments what you think of this interesting prospect of a trade. Obviously, a great prospect here. Young player, 20 years old, former first-round pick, wants to move on from his team. I wonder if you poke around, because you have a certain scenario here if you're the Rangers that you can move on from Kaapo Kakko and even that first-round pick if you want to package it or package a few things together to send over for a player like that. I think right now the current dynamic and makeup of the team allows you to make that deal. But if you're going to do it, it has to be right now. The time is right. So very, very interesting. Let me know in the comments what you think. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.